All right, today we're looking at a real clash of ideas. On one side, you've got this massive government directive that's basically turning the whole national security apparatus inward to look at its own citizens. And on the other side, a technology that's built to do the exact opposite, to break apart the kind of concentrated power that makes something like that even possible in the first place. Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll get into what this new security directive is all about. Then, we'll talk about something called the chilling effect and what that means for civil liberties. After that, we're going to flip the script and look at a totally different, decentralized approach. And finally, we'll ask the big question: could this technology actually be a countermeasure? All right, part one. Let's get right into it. We're talking about something called National Security Presidential Memorandum 7, or NSPM7 for short. And you got to understand, this isn't just some run-of-the-mill executive order. We're talking about a major, fundamental shift in national security strategy. I mean, check this out. One member of Congress called it the biggest attack on civil liberties since the Patriot Act. Wow, that's a heavy statement. It immediately tells you just how serious people are taking this, right? It's drawing a direct line to one of the most controversial national security laws in recent history. So, what exactly is this thing? Well, you can think of NSPM7 as a big-picture game plan. It's a strategy that takes the entire war on terror framework and points it inward. It's basically reorienting this massive national security machine away from foreign threats and aiming it squarely at domestic political groups. So how does it actually work? Well, it's built on three main ideas, three pillars. First, it redefines certain kinds of dissent, protesting certain beliefs, as a national security threat. Second, it uses this pre-crime strategy. The idea is to stop people before they do anything. And third, it forces the entire federal intelligence community to work together on this, to be completely unified. And this is where it gets really wild. Take a look at the specific ideas being targeted, things like anti-capitalist beliefs or anti-traditional family views. Now, these are views that are protected by the First Amendment, but the directive labels them as signs, indicators of future terrorism. This is a huge deal. It means your beliefs, not your actions, can make you a target. I mean, think about it. Anti-traditional family views? That language is so broad, it's kind of staggering. And this is the crucial part. The whole model shifts from reacting to crime to pre-crime. They're applying a strategy called preemption, a tactic usually saved for extreme foreign threats like Al-Qaeda, and they're applying it here, at home. And think about it. How can you preempt a threat unless you're watching it all the time? Well, this strategy basically creates the legal cover for exactly that: constant mass surveillance of Americans. And this isn't just one agency doing its own thing. No way. NSPM7 makes it mandatory for the entire intelligence community to get on the same page. We're talking DHS, the FBI, ICE, even the Pentagon and the DOJ. They're all required to coordinate, to share intel, to create special task forces. It's a full court press and all of government effort to build this single, unified domestic intelligence machine. Okay, let's move on to part two. What's the real-world impact of all this? This is where we get into something called the chilling effect. Because you see, the goal isn't always to get a conviction in a courtroom. Sometimes, just being put through the process, that's the punishment. So, the biggest impact of a directive like this isn't necessarily jail time. It's this chilling effect. Have you ever, hesitated before posting a political opinion online or thought twice about going to a protest? That's it. That's the chilling effect. It's when people get scared to use their basic First Amendment rights because they're worried about getting on the government's radar. And this happens through stuff that stops just short of an actual conviction. Just imagine it, being grilled by the FBI for a whole day, or being detained but never charged with anything, or seeing your name and your face pop up on a DHS website right next to the word terrorism. Even if you're cleared in the end, these extremely unpleasant experiences, as they're called, create this powerful sense of fear. It doesn't just discourage you, it discourages anyone who hears your story from speaking up. There's a great analogy for this that really hits the nail on the head. Imagine our civil liberties are like a garden. This strategy doesn't just build a bigger fence around it. No, it labels common weeds as deadly diseases and then justifies using poisons that end up killing the entire garden. The point is, the tools being used, this massive counterterrorism machine, are completely out of proportion to the so-called threat. It's like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut, and you end up destroying the whole table in the process. All right, Now for a complete change of pace. Let's pivot and look at a technology that's built on a totally opposite idea. If NSPM7 is all about centralizing power and control, this next concept is about making that impossible. And here you can really see the two ideas clash. On one side, you've got NSPM7, which is all about building this unified top-down system for watching and controlling people. It pulls all the information and power into one central spot. But on the other side, you have something like Holochain, which was literally designed to solve what it calls the concentration of power. It's about building systems that work perfectly fine without any central boss. So, what is Holochain? Well, you can think of it as a recipe for a completely different kind of internet. It's a framework for building apps, social media, work tools, whatever, but with a huge twist. There are no central servers. No single company is in control. Instead of your data living on Facebook's or Google's servers, the app and all your data live right there on your own computer or phone. The network is literally just the people using it. Okay, so in simple terms, here's how it works. Step 1, your data stays on your device. You own it. You control it. Step 2, when you share stuff, it goes directly to other users on the network. It's not uploaded to some big central server. And third, and this is the really clever part, the community itself makes sure everyone is playing by the rules. Each person's device helps to validate what's happening, creating this system of collective trust without needing a central authority to oversee everything. Which brings us to part 4. How could a system built like this actually push back against the kind of centralized surveillance we've been talking about? Right? How does a network with no center defend itself from a powerful centralized opponent? So let's just connect the dots here. You've got the threat of mass data collection from NSPM7, while Holochain counters that with decentralized storage. There's no giant database for the government to grab. Then you have the threat of a unified intelligence agency trying to shut down a group. Holochain's counter is that there's no central point of failure. There's no head of the snake to cut off. And finally, the threat of targeting specific people. Holochain uses public keys for identity, which adds a layer of pseudonymity. Your actions are tied to a key, not necessarily your real name, which makes direct surveillance a whole lot harder. So you see, at the end of the day, it's this complete fundamental opposition in how they're designed. One system, NSPM7, is all about sucking power, data, and control into a single point. It's a tool for top-down command. The other, Holochain, is designed to push all that power, data, and control out to the edges, to the users themselves. And that makes it naturally resistant to that kind of centralized control. And that leaves us with a really big question to think about. As surveillance from the top down gets more and more powerful, is decentralized technology, stuff like this, going to become absolutely essential for democratic expression? Is the future of free speech and our ability to organize freely going to depend on our ability to build things from the bottom up?